Welcome to Nameless Debate Radio, where radioactivity is contagious. You can join us in broadening our minds on the Nameless Debates Discord via the link below, and even feature here yourself, if you've got what it takes.
I do recall the conclusion was when something like this. I had a reason to assume a person's sexual orientation, but not their gender.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it went.
Oh, is it? No, I don't think so.
I said like my argument. I remember my.
Oh, was that your argument?
Yeah, my argument was No, well, I mean, like I claim that gender. I claim that we have to assume genders of people. It's natural that we do so. And you said, but we should try to educate ourselves and try to train ourselves not to do so. And eventually, somehow my opinion shifted from that of gender to that of sexual orientation.
Yeah, it seemed like you were confused about what you were saying to begin with. Because your justification for assuming their gender was about assuming their sexual orientation.
Yes.
NSYNC, I have a question for you on that, man.
And you said that it was important for you to assume that, and I said, well, actually, I don't think that it is. You know, you can just ask someone if they're interested in you. You don't need to assume anything.
Yeah, but we assume it naturally. I'm just saying.
Yeah, but you don't need to, and it's safer not to.
What if it's so subjectively for me? I would feel it. So let's say let me start by asking you this, NSYNC. What do you think about gender in general? Like, how many genders do you think there are? Do you think it's infinite? Do you think there's only
two poles?
There
Two poles.
Okay. So with that,
did you make new genders?
With that in mind, I guess it's reasonable not to assume. So never mind. Hey, I was gonna because if you were gonna say something like there's an infinite amount of genders, then I would say it might actually be a good thing to try to assume, because then it might be a waste of time to date someone and find out that they're a fucking toaster oven or something.
No, but even then, don't you think it would be better to ask them?
Yeah, but that just it would be, but you gotta understand though, how awkward that must feel.
No, I understand, but I feel like, if you're interested in someone else, there's not a big difference between checking if they're sexually oriented towards you and checking if they're interested in being sexually oriented towards you.
You don't think they might take offense to that? And I'm not saying it's...
No, but what I'm saying is maybe they might, but it's not your problem if people get offended by you hitting on them. It's flattering, and that's how you should take it when someone hits on you, even if you're not interested.
I agree with that.
So that's why it's not bad to assume genders.
No, Vivi. You hitting on them is you testing it out.
Yeah, you're testing out your assumption, right?
Look,
no. You're testing out whether or not they would be interested. You don't have to make an assumption.
I do remember what I also argued back then. I was saying that somebody not looking like their sexual orientation were outliers.
Yes.
Did I not say that? And you said it was incorrect to say that, and I remember why now.
What if somebody thought it was harassment?
We do recognize that it's the very small minority of the
population.
There
are people who think it's harassment. And I think
what if they think that you're sexually harassing them?
I don't give a shit what they think about that. That's some bullshit.
They're very confused.
So, all right. So my opinion on the whole matter is that there are two poles of genders.
Dude, you just had some Arabic come out of you in the whole...
Yeah,
I did. All right, yeah. So what did I say? My whole understanding on the gender matter is the following: I don't have to assume a person's gender because it's not important.
If it's a business setting,
I still don't think I should assume. Well, I mean, this is what I'm thinking. In the business setting, oh god.
how are you gonna sit there and flirt with someone if you're having a meeting?
You're not supposed to flirt with anyone in...
Exactly.
Oh yeah, so why would you be assuming anything?
That sounds like a familiar voice to me.
It's your mom.
That's it.
Get to bed.
Okay, never mind. That's probably...
You're up too late, dude.
No, that person is new.
Yeah, it seems like it. I mean, I've never heard you talk before.
Well, I've only been here a couple of times.
Yeah, so I think that's what he means by new, though.
Yeah, she's new. No, she's not new, but she's new.
Fair call.
Okay. So yeah, my understanding on the gender thing is like I don't have to assume.
That's a
personally,
contradiction. Actually,
like
it's
in
logically
society-
inconsistent.
Oh my god, Stacey, fuck off.
in
What's
society.
the
you don't have-
disagreement here? I feel like you
oh
guys
my
are.
god.
We're rehashing an old argument. We're not disagreeing.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what I'm saying, what I was saying, I'm restating my old opinion, and I still agree to it to some extent. However, I stand corrected on some issues. For example, my use.
I love how quick you were, so that I couldn't jump in.
I do recognize where I was wrong back then. First of all, my mistaking of gender for sexual orientation or sex, and the second one being my use of the word outlier.
Mm-hmm.
But
I think there's a third one as well.
Which was?
He would remember.
I think. Let me think.
Acting like
it was saying that it was necessary to make an assumption about the sexual orientation.
Well, that's one I still believe in.
It's not necessary. Even if it can be convenient, it isn't technically necessary.
Okay, so it's extremely convenient.
Yeah, but it's not necessary, which is the whole point.
Ever?
Okay.
No, it's not necessary.
But
you can get around it by just asking. You don't have to assume anything.
But you hold the opinion but you hold the opinion that we should train ourselves not to.
Yes, I'm saying you should suspend like the tendency you have to make judgments based on how someone looks and just ask them if you're curious.
But that makes no sense.
It makes sense in most settings.
So, are you talking about just in case that you were to meet a transgender person? Is that what you're saying, or?
No, I'm saying like the whole point is that like whether or not so like what sexual orientation someone is has nothing to do with like your basic interactions with them.
So just their sexual orientation, and you don't mean.
Yeah, obviously it's sometimes necessary to make an assumption about what their gender is to refer to them.
But
I agree with that.
But you do realize that the vast majority of people out there are straight people.
No, but that's irrelevant. No. Being straight has nothing to do with your gender.
Relevant.
It's not. Relevant. Being straight has nothing to do with your gender.
So are you talking about you?
Like you're talking about cisgender versus heterosexual. They're completely separate.
But you're only talking about transgender people make up, or I guess, what do you want to call them?
No, but the point that I'm making is it's a category difference.
Okay, so wait, hold on. So we're talking about gender, and you're saying the importance of knowing genders to refer to them by their pronouns?
Yes, that's the only importance.
But the thing is, like, we naturally assign our pronouns based on.
No, but the pronoun is the only significance. There's no significance to the sexual orientation.
I have a question. So, does it bother you that people assume people's pronoun?
No.
Okay. So then why would it matter that because people...
He's saying it's not necessary. It's like
I'm just saying you don't have to do it. An argument that you need to do it is false.
But you should do it because otherwise people get offended.
Maybe let her
Who will get offended?
Yeah, the people, like, for example, so we assume it on purpose. We assume it for many reasons. So we see a person, long hair, like wearing skirt and stuff. We assume she. And like, so if you talk about them in their absence, you're expected to talk about them she, even if you didn't ask them, right? You don't say they or.
Well, sometimes you do, but I agree with you.
But there's a reason why people look the way they do, right?
Yes, of course. But for instance,
because literally every time she talks, you guys already about to jump on her. Shut up.
Go ahead.
What?
Don't make me mute you, Chili's.
Oh,
go ahead, clerk chat.
Do it.
Continue what you were saying.
I was just going to say that there's a reason why women look the way they do, and it's not because, the color pink, for example, isn't inherently feminine, right? A skirt isn't inherently feminine. It's just a piece of clothing. The reason why women dress the way they do is because because they want to look different than men do. We want to, differentiate ourselves from the other gender.
I'll say that's one of the reasons.
Well, just quickly though, like, are you aware that up until like 70 or 80 years ago, pink was actually the masculine color and blue was the feminine color?
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's not inherently feminine or
correct.
There are certain things that are like.
I'm sorry.
But
there are certain things that are like social constructs, but then I don't feel like gender in itself is a social construct, because people say that, but there are certain aspects that people like in society take for gender that are social constructs, like
I think
the color pink for girls.
Gender is completely made up of social constructs. Like, of course, the idea of gender, like, as in, like, gender is a phenomenological entity. Gender is not a social construct, but gender is the subject that concerns all of the social constructs of sex, as in, like, biological sex.
Wait, gender and sex are not that related, though.
No, but they are. Gender is the associated ideas for sex.
True, I agree with that.
Really change your sex, like.
It's not about changing it. It's if you're born.
Gender is the ideas associated with masculinity and femininity.
Phil, that's fair. That's fair.
Okay,
I'll accept that.
That's good.
Okay, and I think what I was saying initially is, like, for instance, there are things about your appearance that, even if you're dressing like a woman, make you look like a man. For instance, certain facial structures. So we can become confused about the gender pronoun easily because people who identify differently to their biological sex actually don't quite look the way they want to most of the time.
Okay,
right?
so how about
that's so rare.
So how about it's safe to assume? Let's say, how about it's safe to assume a person's gender, except when it's not like self-evident.
Exactly, that makes much more sense than to just ask.
I'm not arguing against that.
Yeah,
Are you a man?
I'm not arguing against that.
Okay.
Yeah, he was just saying that it's not necessary. Like the fact, like, so, like, by definition, necessary, right? Like, it needs.
Well, I mean, assuming
to be assumed, or else you.
But I'm pretty sure.
But gender
I admitted. Like, I admitted clearly the utility of doing so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was kind of confused. It seemed like previously you were arguing against. It seemed like that.
No,
previously...
it's because you were conflating two ideas, Vivi. You justified that position with the idea that you needed to know what sexual orientation they were.
Oh yeah, that was a previous argument, and I agree.
Yes, but that's what we were talking about, though, right?
Yes.
So I think that's where the confusion's coming from, because we were talking about something you and I both know about, but the newcomers did not have any experience with the argument.
Yes.
You guys, do you guys want to go on to another topic, or?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I was wondering what your guys' opinion was on feminism and male privilege.
Ooh.
Male privilege.
I am so up for this one.
What's male privilege?
Oh, I'll tell you what that is. Go ahead. I don't want to mansplain this.
That's hilarious. Privilege is like this idea that men have certain advantages when it comes to work, social situations, stuff like that.
For sure. Yeah. Do you think that?
Women also
I have two questions for you. The first one is, do you think that
I don't
that's
believe
true?
in any of this. I'm just
okay. So the second question is, if it were true, would it be true that women have privileges similar to that but different?
I think everyone has privileges. If you're tall, you have certain privileges. If you're short, you have certain privileges.
I think that that's a very reasonable opinion. I think that the idea of male privilege is an isolated.
I don't understand.
But there's another aspect of male privilege, right?
I mean, like, let's think about this, though. When going through the court system, males are dealt with significantly more harshly than females.
Exactly.
There's an element of female privilege.
In custody disputes, like everybody had almost.
Well, I want to hear what Shade. I want to hear what Shade was going to say. What is the other, like, part of male privilege? What are you getting at?
So I think the current situation of men and women has been discussed at large, pretty much. But what about the idea that male privilege or that the patriarchy has? Hear me out.
Oh, yeah, I like this one.
It's a question to you guys. I'm not saying this is what I believe, but it's just something that. So the idea that the patriarchy has always existed and that women have been oppressed for the last whatever thousands of years, and that men have always had it better, even when they were doing, when they were
dying in war.
Yeah,
I think this.
Yeah,
that was way better.
No, look, I think that the argument that males dominate the hierarchies in society, that holds truth. I think that the idea that it's unfair and that we're taking advantage of and oppressing women and that that's the relationship that exists between the sexes is pretty laughable, to be honest, because, like, it's cooperative. We're cooperating with women. The successful men cooperate with their wives to raise their children. That's the only way it works.
So actually, I'll argue that we do live in a male-dominated society, and it's still so very much that. Like, you don't.
No,
there's a reason why. The reason
Look,
why
it is.
Yeah.
But it's not male-dominated because the males want to dominate everything and they're oppressing everybody else.
Correct. It's not done intentionally.
Yes, exactly.
How are they dominating?
Well, how do males dominate? Just in the statistical sense.
There are certain things that go into being like a woman that make it harder for you to get into, for instance, like getting a high corporate job and trying to rule over a whole business. It's those kinds of women. They're it's crazy.
Rare.
Yeah, the person.
Well, it's hard
And,
for
like,
everyone. If
no,
you
no,
want,
but like I can give you the example, right? So, like, temperamentally, as a consequence of the biological sex, women are more agreeable and men are more disagreeable. So there is a bigger chunk of men who are willing to be as disagreeable as you can get, and a much smaller chunk of women who are willing to do that. And that's what's required to be a CEO.
Wait, Insect, did you just call me a female?
That would actually apply for that kind of job and be qualified.
No, I'm saying, like, CEOs are selected from this pool of people who are really disagreeable, right?
Right, and if a woman is just as disagreeable as other men, she's probably favored over the men because she's a woman, and a lot of companies.
I'd agree with that.
That may be true. That may well be true. But I'm saying that the reason that the men dominate is statistically, like, there are just more of them.
Yeah.
Well, in the workplace, right? But women are much better at raising children or just.
I feel like
I agree. Yeah.
I think we'd all agree to that.
Like what kind of company, what kind of
I don't
place
know
you're
about
living
that.
in. There's going to be a difference between how women are going to get into a CEO job in California compared to, like, I don't know, Ohio, stuff like
I just
that.
have a question.
Sure.
So, like, how do you feel about, like, a women staying home and guys going to work only?
Oh, I disagree with that.
Hold on.
I mean, in this day and age,
hold on.
both people going to work, or else you're not making, like, the correct wage.
Yep.
Right. So I heard too many answers because everyone was over talking each other. So,
Yeah,
right.
my first
Yeah,
answer.
I didn't hear the question at all.
My opinion is that both parents should stay home.
Okay.
How is that viable?
I'm just gonna move that to the side.
Right. So wait. So, like, let me elaborate, right?
Vivi, no.
No. It's important to elaborate this point because I think
the women stay home. They cook, they clean, they take care of the children, while the men do all the working. Do you agree with that system?
I don't.
Yeah, that you weren't talking.
So,
you were like,
It's like you have to work together. You can't just have one.
The way, but also the way that question was presented,
100.
It almost made it an
Maybe
assumption.
let the newcomers talk.
Like, it's funny that, like, everyone's like over talking each other and they think I can hear them.
Okay, so let's go one at a time. I'm gonna skip my turn, so I won't speak. And
maybe let the new guys talk.
All right.
Maybe.
Sure.
Thanks, Cross.
New guys,
Thank
let's
you.
go. New gals, I mean.
Yeah, you call them men, you assume their gender, but we can get past that.
All right,
Just let the new toaster oven talk.
All right, easy. All right, the gals
Can I
first,
say
then
something?
Daz. Yeah, the gals
Go
first. So
ahead.
everyone.
Okay. Two parents living off minimum wage would not be able to properly hold a household. I think that if you, in this day and age, well, it depends on your area. I think it honestly just depends on what your job is and if you can live off of that. I don't think that I don't like, it really depends on your, like if, for instance, the woman has more of a skill level and, like, more of a resume compared to the man, and she already is getting a high enough paying job to keep care of both of them. That would mean that she would have to go to work and he could stay home. Or if both of them, have okay skill level, they both have, they're both have to live off of minimum wage, I don't know. And, they'd have to figure things out. Both of them would have to probably go to work.
Yeah.
Okay, next one. Hold on before you anyone interrupts. So the next one, we're gonna go. I want to hear everyone's answers, no interrupting. So we're gonna go with the other one that's here. I'm not looking at my screen.
Okay, let's. Yeah.
So the other one, there's two of them.
That's shade. Yeah, hidden shade. That's hidden shade.
Okay.
So, I mean, it makes more sense for the woman to stay at home because statistically, women marry up. So the man is either just as educated as she is or more educated. And statistically, men make more money at work. So in most cases, it probably makes sense that the woman stay home. And I'm also for homeschooling, so that wouldn't work if the woman had to work.
Yeah, I think that was
All
a
right,
really
nope.
good,
Okay,
well articulated.
Okay, now
Okay,
Daz.
can I go now? Please.
Dude, what the hell?
Oh,
Go
You're
ahead.
skipping your turn. You're just gonna skip me?
Go ahead, Dad.
Just go.
Okay, anyway, so I basically with what Hidden Shade, I just like to add a little bit to what both of them said. Actually, Maya as well. So I agree with their standpoints on it. However, I don't think so. There's another question that I have to ask you. It's, do you think that these views should be like perpetuated? Like, because I feel like it's not something that should be an absolute, because sometimes that the woman is going to be in a better position to actually do the working. And sometimes there might be a man who's just innately better with nurturing the child, so even though it's less likely, I don't think that those people should necessarily try to follow the model that everyone else is doing. You know what I mean?
Oh, no.
So
yeah, that's true.
That's why the question to me is like I don't disagree with it. I think it's better most of the time, but I don't think it's something that we should be like enforcing.
Okay.
Oh, no, I don't think we should be enforcing it. But what we
Okay.
should be enforcing, or I guess what we should.
Hold on.
People can do whatever the hell they want.
Okay, now Vivi.
Yes, now I can present my both parents at home situation.
Your ridiculous answer. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's not ridiculous, and like you just have to hear me out.
Yeah, that remains to be seen.
Economically detrimental. Like,
Okay.
what do you
No,
mean?
let's just give him the benefit of the doubt.
So, what I said, like both parents stay at home, and you're like, how can that happen? So in my opinion, so my background is my parents are from Libya, and my grandfather is a farmer, like literally just basic farmer, and he sustains his family by working on his farm. Everything he earns is and crops are all grown at home. He doesn't have to go out or anything. So both parents are allowed to stay at home at all times. All they if anything, they just go out to the fields to harvest some crops and then come back, and they can take their kids with them there. So in that sense, both parents can take care of the children at the same time, give them the different aspects of nourishment and raising, and I think discipline is another word. But yeah, I think all those things should come into play from both parents, in my opinion.
Okay. Now we do have a transgender, woman here who has a man that actually goes to work and she stays home and everything like that. So Sutra, where'd he go?
Oh boy,
where did she? Oh, she's gone. It's okay. So Matt would be.
What? Who's here? Who is she?
I don't know. I'm happy with what's been said. Most of that was pretty comprehensive.
Okay, now I was making a joke for Sutra, but he left, so never mind.
Yeah.
Because he gets really
I
offended
do
when I
think that,
say some of things.
oh,
Go ahead. No,
Go ahead.
continue.
can I say something? Okay, so with farming, I don't think that is like a good job in every place. Like, I definitely think that it's a good idea of like keeping both people at home, and but it's not like a sustainable kind of job unless you're living off of, assets from like the government trying to help you,
Yeah,
Well, I
unless
mean, like,
you're
yes,
a little welfare bitch.
correct. I agree with you. But the thing is, I want to like make note. I probably didn't make this clear enough. But the thing is, they own their own small farm, and basically they didn't have to work. They didn't have to work for
everybody
anybody.
can own their farm. Though.
I
Not
can
everybody's
say,
a farmer.
Yeah,
The
but I don't
majority of
think.
people
But
aren't farmers.
that's why I wanted to ask a Chili's the other question.
Don't listen to Stacy when he's calling me a Chili's. You don't have to listen to that, all right?
It's
All right,
Mr. A. Chili's.
All right, listen, A. Chili's.
Dude, we got to keep up the tradition for Nefu, man.
Yeah.
I have to know. Like, that's why I had to ask you the other question. Like, so when you ask that question, what exactly are you trying to discern about our opinion on that? Like, is it better in general, like statistically? Is it that you're trying, like, what is it that you want to know? Because I think
he's trying to expose all the memes.
Oh. That's more part. Yeah, that's one part, and the second part is I'm trying to discern it a little bit.
Okay.
And I don't know. I noticed that a lot of I don't know how to put it. The answer has been very different in the coming years. It went from, like, I would say in like the early 2000s, it was more, girls wanted to be out and doing their own thing, and guys just doing their own thing as well. And then as we got closer to our most recent years, it seems like girls would prefer the guys to take care of them. And
but I would also hold on and saying take care is not a good way of describing it, because that's the other thing in that question. It kind of implies that the woman staying home, raising the child, cooking and cleaning isn't a full-time job.
I think like what the point of the change though is that
paying job.
Like, it turns out that when you like add another, like basically like the same amount of people again to the workforce, what you get is that the wages are worth a lot less.
I'm actually kind of very thankful that Kingpin is not here. You'd be saying,
like for example,
you would say so many things.
Like for example, my
Dude,
mom.
I'd fuck him up. Don't worry.
My dad would go to work and do all the stuff. My mom would be home doing the cooking and
Did
cleaning.
you say
And
women
he would give her like all the no, he wouldn't give her like all the money, but he'd give her like probably a couple hundred to like spend on groceries and on herself. So like,
that's what my dad.
Why don't you just get a babysitter? Like, honestly.
Yeah, but you don't.
Most parents
Well,
can
no,
have a babysitter.
because that's the thing. It's like
the mom is staying home.
It's like up to the parents if they would prefer to invest their time into their children.
Yeah, and I'd say it's a good investment.
Puts their kids on the her kids on the bus.
Like when you get off work, like during the weekends, you can still spend time with your children.
Hold on.
No, it's only on the weekdays.
We're not gonna do this.
I can't even hear A. Chili's.
No.
Oh my god. So
we're not gonna do this that way.
Hey, Chili's, I will mute you.
I'm gonna literally slit your throat. But so what I'm saying is, the woman gets up in the morning, puts her kids on the bus, and is able to take them home. The father is able to go to work and come home, knowing that the mother is home, taking care of the kids, making sure dinner is ready and everything. It's just a more comfortable vibe, and it's not like they have to. I don't know how to put this. It just seems like it's better for, I would say, one of the parents to be home all the time, just being with their kids more than because nowadays both of the parents are usually out at work. Barely every time they have home, there's always babysitters. Like you were bringing up the babysitter part. There's always those families with babysitters. They spend more time with a babysitter than they do with their own parents. So it's
I would like to make an objection to that as well, as to why I think the babysitter is not it's not necessarily bad, right? But there are things that can be detrimental to the kid from that, right? Are you going to be able to hire this same babysitter And is this babysitter going to be a babysitter for life? And are they going to be there to nurture the child when it's older because it's most used to talking to the babysitter about all of its problems? You know, the relationship with the parents, like a child having a good relationship with the parents is highly beneficial later on in life. Like,
the most important thing, like when you look at the first 2 years of a baby's development, when that baby doesn't have a strong bond with the mother or the main caretaker, which in this case would be the mother because she's breastfeeding, that can have horrible consequences on the baby. And then the first 5 years as well, that's really, really important. And when you're hiring a babysitter or you're sending them off to whatever kindergarten, you don't know if they're being abused. You will never know unless you put cameras up. They could be doing all kinds of things to your kids. And there have been many cases of child abuse, pedophilia in those places because where pedophiles go, they go where kids are.
I just want to say on that one part, I mean, like, there's been reports of, like, the mothers putting their kids in, like, the ovens and stuff. So, I mean, like...
but postpartum psychosis is a real thing.
There's a
postpartum psychosis is a real problem.
I have no idea. Like, I'm seriously for this.
Are you making the argument that women abuse their children more often than strangers?
No.
Because that is not true.
That's not what he said.
I didn't say that at all.
When you bring a non-related male into the household with a child, right? The children are like 33 times or so more likely to be abused. So
yeah, that's probably true. But I don't think what Achilles said was in contradiction to that.
Not at all.
Well, obviously, there's deranged people in the world, but it doesn't mean that a sane person, a sane mother, has to send their children off to be abused by strangers.
We never said that. Also,
you didn't hear anything I said. I'm just saying. Well, go ahead.
Let him explain himself.
No,
just
you're
quickly
good.
though. I loved the presupposition about breastfeeding.
Yeah.
Okay, wait. What was I gonna say? I was thinking about this, and I'm like, I'm thinking a totally different line of thought. And I'm thinking, if I was a parent, which I hope to be one day, or maybe not, so, all right. That aside, if I would be, if I would be a parent, I think my main concern would be to spend time in my life with my child, in my opinion, because that makes sense. Like, I would even personally give up my job to spend time with my child if that was the
yes, but as I'm not sure which one of the girls it was, but one of them said, like, to begin with, when the mother is the primary caretaker, which is the case when the infant is really small, it's really important that they bond with the mother like a lot.
Well, they said the caregiver, like whoever.
Yes, but mothers are much better wired to take care of young infants than men,
especially their own infants.
Yeah.
Stop ruining my dreams.
It's true though. Like,
yeah. Okay. So yeah, I understand.
So for instance,
I agree with you. I agree.
No, I'll give you an example though. Women are more likely to wake up if the noise that is occurring is at a higher pitch than at a lower pitch.
That is so true. I wake up every single time my dog makes any sort of sound.
Mm-hmm. Because they're tuned to listen for babies crying.
Yeah.
Well, believe me, I'm also tuned to hear babies cry. My baby sister cries, and I'm
basically we're saying you're a girl.
Yes, I am a girl. Yes, I am a girl.
Basically, the conclusion I got.
Hold on, I'm agreeable. I'd rather stay at home with my child. And what was the other one?
Fucking bitch.
I wish you could breastfeed them.
Oh my god! And I wasn't about to mansplain, so that makes me officially a feminist female.
Oh, Vivi, I cringe a little bit every time you say mansplain.
Well, I'm man-spreading right now.
I feel like there's more woman-splaining than mansplaining.
Yes,
I reckon.
It is. But that's subjective to me, but I will say, that for me, I feel like there is. Big time.
The level of woke in this chat right now.
Wait, no. Actually, but like, mansplaining is... Go ahead.
I don't know if we're past this topic, but I was like thinking on it. In my opinion, I think that you shouldn't be bringing other people into a relationship if you yourself can't keep care of yourself. So if you can't mentally and financially keep care of yourself, then you shouldn't bring other people into it that might need your help.
What, like a child or like another person is in like a partner?
Exactly.
What about a partner though? Can you bring them into it?
Partners, children, parents, stuff like that.
So you don't want, but what if you need a partner to save you?
No, I don't think that's not a good
That's
reason
me.
to go into a relationship.
No, that may not be a good reason.
Wait, this is good.
That may
This
not
is
be a
good.
good
I need to be saved.
No, but like, I can tell you like from personal experience that like
Your partner is not your therapist. You don't.
No, that's not the point. The point is like I was gonna kill myself. I really needed some help, and the girl that I'm with, and I've been with her for like almost 2 years now, did save me because she decided that that was worth what it would cost her, and I think she's probably glad that she did, and I'm certainly glad she did because I wouldn't be here.
This just got dark.
Well, it's complicated.
That wasn't dark. That was beautiful, dude. What do you
Achilles,
mean?
stop cutting people off.
It came straight from the heart.
Well, I swear to God.
I'm about to tear up, dude.
Get Tanzil in here, bro.
But you see, like
I'm gonna warn you in clerk chat.
Me on the other hand, I had to save myself. So.
No, but I'm just saying, like,
in danger.
sometimes someone who's worth saving gets themselves into a hole that they can't get out of without help. And I don't think there's anything wrong with other people choosing to help them.
I agree with you there. But, like, I think, like, what they were trying to say is if you're looking in a relationship, some way to complete yourself, then I guess that's very problematic.
Complicate the relationship really badly.
What else is a relationship for?
Yeah, that was what I was using it for.
Well,
like,
no, I mean,
someone to help you. Listen. It's like
going into a relationship.
Sorry,
go ahead. Say again, please.
Maya?
Oh, emotional support is perfectly fine to find in a relationship, but going into a relationship to complete yourself, find mental and financial support isn't technically. I don't feel like that's technically okay. I feel like there's some situations you could say that that's okay. But
okay, so it feels like what you're saying then is that that's not usually healthy, and I would agree with you. But I think what I'm saying is sometimes that is the healthiest option because there are some people who are worth saving who are, if you leave them to it, just going to kill themselves.
Wait, isn't that a subjective claim?
I mean,
everything is.
Look, it's subjective,
like
but
people get themselves into
valuable,
holes that they can't get themselves out of. And sometimes it's worth it to other people and to them if other people sacrifice things to get them out of the hole because they believe that it's worth it in the long term, right? Like, I agree it's not a healthy long-term pattern, but if in the short term someone really needs your help, so I think then it doesn't seem like we disagree.
Yeah. What else can we talk about?
I don't know how single I am.
The answer is like approaching the end of an endless set.
Yeah, VV is way more than single. Put it like that.
I'm wait. What did you say?
I'm finding it.
Like you're an incel, as in an infinite incel.
Yeah.
Oh. Infinite. I thought that was like a isn't that a fallacy?
Dude, the whole idea that incels have is ridiculous. The whole point that you're just like genetically made up, so you cannot have a partner.
Yeah, it's self-defeating.
Or there's no such thing as a female incel. It's
self-defeating.
It's
I have no idea what incel means.
It means involuntary celibate.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
I didn't volunteer for anything.
Oh, game over, Vivi.
Exactly.
No, dude, you're an infinite incel. You transcend the normal level of incel.
Wait, quick question. Am I like the second oldest in this chat at the moment?
Probably.
How old are you?
I'm probably third.
37.
No, I'm like 24.
You're just because your age. You estimate your own age. Oh god.
I'm
Wait, am I
23.
So wait. So I'm guessing Daz is older than me,
Yep.
and I'm
Hey,
guessing
Daz, how
Achilles.
old are you?
A Chili's is older
I'm
than
not saying how old I am until someone else says their age and it's older than me.
I'm 23.
And I'm 24.
Still not
I'm
talking.
15.
Oh, I'm 19.
Oh wait, Visionary's here.
Fuck all of
Visionary's
you.
here.
I'm 36.
Alright, I'm 26.
I'm 36.
26.
Hey, Eddie.
What's up, dude?
I'm kidding. I'm 20.
All right, so that makes.
right in the throat, Citro.
So I'm grandpa of the group, I guess.
Well,
So
thank God, or else I'd be.
Thank God.
36. That's probably when I'm finally getting a relationship.
No, Vivi, did you not hear the infinite bit?
Oh, so it's gonna be forever.
Yeah, it's endless, mate.
That's good for me, right?
I mean, is
What?
it?
Yeah, is it? I guess you never know.
I guess you don't. I guess you never miss, huh?
Oh,
Got a
true.
boyfriend. I bet he doesn't kiss you.
This is awkward.
I'm finding it hard to have a relationship or find any relationship. I'm gay, by the way, but you know.
Okay. Wait. The instinct, does that make me asexual?
No.
I mean, no.
Well, wait a
like-
second. Well, actually, no.
No,
You
the
probably
answer is
wish
no.
that you were.
Yeah, I don't think
You're
that's possible.
hypersexual, so no, you just
Nah.
don't get anywhere.
Mm.
I'm sorry, that's so brutal, but you know.
I don't understand when
Well-
people are like, I'm hetero-romantic, or like, I don't understand. Like,
What?
it just
I
means
understand what that
you,
means.
Okay, so like
you don't
I
have
understand.
I would
sexual
say
relations
I'm-
with someone until you
Yeah,
have
no.
a romantic relationship with
No,
someone.
that's not what it means. Like, I'm
Yeah,
bi-romantic,
right?
but I'm heterosexual. Which
Fuck.
means that, like,
Hey, whoa. What did you say?
what that means is
I see that
that,
you've
Yo,
like,
conformed to
boys,
my terms.
In Sync is on the map.
Yes,
That's
you're
all I
correct.
gotta say. That's all I
no,
heard.
what that means is that even though I'm not sexually attracted to guys in any way, and like I wouldn't be capable of engaging with a guy that way, right? Like in terms of like being able to perform myself, like if I'm not like closed-minded to the idea of a like romantic relationship with a guy, because I understand that like the way that relationships develop is that when someone is there for you when you need them and no one else is, you become very affectionate, and there's not a clear line in my mind between like very deep platonic love and a romantic attachment if you have nothing else.
All right. Well, look, I'm gonna give you my phone number, dude. And when your girlfriend does,
Yeah, what's up, bro?
yeah, you hit me up. I'm always.
I mean, I'm currently in a relationship, but maybe when I'm single.
Wait. So can you imagine yourself kissing a guy on the cheek?
Yeah, of course.
No.
I could kiss a guy on the lips. I wouldn't do a very good job like sexually engaging with a guy.
Oh boy. Oh
Seriously.
boy.
It wouldn't bother me.
Yo, let's be honest. Even everyone in here that's straight can imagine if they
Yeah.
did something. Like
Everyone,
you're gonna tell me
yeah,
you can't
anyone can
imagine.
imagine it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because if you
Like-
couldn't
like-
imagine it, how
For
would
me,
you ever
my
know what you
toes
are?
like curl up, and I'm just like, ugh.
Okay, like,
hey,
no,
don't
no,
talk shit about us like that.
Hold on,
We're
hold
not
on.
No, but like you
disgusting.
can
We're not,
you
I
can
can't
like
imagine-
overcome the like impulsive reaction to it though.
yeah, no, I'm just fucking
I can't imagine something else. But like
I'd
kissing a
rather
guy-
feel more comfortable than like uncomfortable, though.
No, I understand that, but I'm saying like if you spend time thinking about it, because like let's say the situation demanded it of you, you're in a situation where you didn't expect to be, which made you question like what you'd be willing to do with another another person of the same gender as you, then
I mean, I
feel like
haven't had that kind of situation.
no,
yet.
I understand, but I'm saying if you did, spending time thinking about it would dismantle the like impulsive reaction.
Well, then that makes sense, but I'm just talking about myself here.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm just saying like, I have like
I
some
agree
pretty
with you.
close
I agree with
friendships, so I've actually thought about it.
Uh-huh.
Would you like take dick in the house?
Well, I mean, like now I know.
no.
you
What?
guys are
Oh,
Whoa,
God.
No.
that was a leap right there, Shade.
Don't think I
Hey,
would.
look,
That was
no.
like-
don't
that was, like,
listen.
more than
You
a
can't
leap.
just
Can you-
jump on
Wait.
Instagram like that.
Like, can you imagine
That's like
that?
important.
Oh yeah, I can imagine taking dick in the ass, but
Yeah,
I don't really want to. Like what? You're putting that in my head for some specific reason? Or?
Well, I mean, I don't know, dude.
I don't know,
You
bro.
getting me ready, are ya?
I don't know, dude. Grooming, just striking up conversation. I don't know, same shit.
I feel ya.
What do you guys feel about no
Being
map?
kiss, cuddle, maybe fuck a
About
little.
what?
What's that?
About no map, like pedophiles.
Oh.
No.
Like they're trying
What
to
is
like
no
make
map?
their own communities and stuff.
What?
There's a pedophile
Well,
community.
pedophile. Well,
Yeah,
okay,
no
wait,
map.
hold on, wait.
map.
What-
Okay.
wait.
Like just
What-
search
what-
up no map on Tumblr.
I get it already from the name and.
What's wrong with pedophilia?
Stop.
Get out.
Stop.
Yeah,
Somebody
guys, what's
explain.
wrong with
No,
me?
wait, no.
Like
Hold on,
AOA
let's-
and stuff. It's all
we
really
can
creepy.
Let's
we
be-
can
let's-
definitely
wait.
come to
AOA
the
means
conclusion.
age of attraction.
Okay, so somebody provide me a rational reason.
Wait,
That's-
what's
that's-
wrong with? Yeah, what's wrong with
Exa-
being like a no map?
Exactly, Vivi.
What?
No, genuinely.
You're
Like,
asking
if
what's
someone,
wrong with being a pedophile?
what's wrong with
Well,
being a
what's wrong with
pedophile
me?
if you
Wait.
restrain yourself?
So
Yeah,
wait,
what's
wait,
wrong with me?
disclaimer.
There's
Wait, a
there's
disclaimer.
something wrong because if you oh my god.
No, they are the way they are.
Let
Okay,
me put it to you like
Oh
this.
my
They didn't
God.
Disclaimer.
choose to
This
be.
is why we don't let pedophiles into the LGBT community because
No, but
stuff
look.
shit like this goes into like.
I'm
the
not
idea
saying
of
that
being
like there's not a lot of like bad shit that goes along with being a pedophile. I'm saying if you happen to be born that way, if you happen to grow up that way, if you happen to
I
develop
don't-
this tendency that you don't get a choice in, it's like your sexual orientation, you don't get a choice. If you happen to be
Look in,
that way and
look in
you
Tabitha's
choose
chat.
to restrain yourself, then that's a moral good.
But that's
the fact
totally
that you
different
restrain
from
yourself.
sexuality. That's totally different.
No,
from
it's
sex-
not.
No,
what
it
you're
is not.
sexually attracted to. Being a pedophile is what you're sexually attracted to.
No,
Hold
it
on,
is
shit,
not.
so my sexuality
No.
is
I
fucked
just
up.
had a look in Tavern Text Chat. What's going on in here?
Tavern Text Chat is back?
Yes.
Yeah, it is, dude.
Oh my god.
Talking about no maps. What?
Here's an interesting question. If you're attracted to a midget, does that make you a pedophile?
What?
No.
What the fuck?
No.
Oh, it got no
Yes.
map Achilles.
No,
Dude,
that's
that was
dead
so
on.
dumb.
Okay, so disclaimer. Like, I definitely disagree with pedophilia, right? And I but like
Yeah,
I
I
still
think
haven't.
that's what we're trying to do, Karma.
Or
I
I
have
so,
a
don't
good.
think
I
we
have
should
a good.
accept
Okay,
those people
let
into
me say-
society, though.
let me say
'Cause when
something,
you
Maya.
accept people into society, you might. I feel like
Okay.
people might like. It just
I
complicates
agree.
things way too much, and
Yeah, but-
I don't
Wait,
think.
Instinct, can I make
I
my?
don't-
Can I make my?
Just
comment?
quickly, I just want to read out, like, because
Alright.
Karma doesn't seem to be talking. He seems to be typing,
Okay.
he or she.
Sure.
So they said you need to differentiate between pedophiles and child molesters. They aren't necessarily synonymous, which I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
is true, right?
That's what
We
I was
don't-
going to make.
None
an
of
analogy
us,
for.
none of us approve of child molestation. But if you have pedophilic tendencies and you restrain yourself, I would say that is a moral good.
Yes, and I would also say.
But should we accept
So-
those people?
No,
in
no, no.
society?
See, that's the thing that I would have.
I don't know
with
how
Maya.
we should deal with it.
I don't
I don't
think that we should normalize it. I think
Yeah,
it should still be
normalizing it
something.
wouldn't be.
It still should be something that when you know you have these urges and you restrain yourself, you shouldn't be like proud to be a pedophile. You shouldn't be like
See?
talking
Yes,
to people
I
about it.
agree.
Like, hey, I have.
yeah,
It's like-
yeah. The same
But
way.
that's the thing
for
I'm
instance,
talking about. People
I've
on like
thought about killing
Twitter,
people,
like
certain
calling
people, not
themselves
random.
no maps and like doing
No, but
posts
look,
about
what
like.
I am saying, I'm not saying you should feel good about being a pedophile. I'm saying other people shouldn't make you feel like you don't count as a human being just because you have these urges you can't control, especially if having these urges, you do the moral good and you don't touch any children. Like that's hard for you.
I
right?
wouldn't. I mean, personally, I think that it complicates things and it
I
makes
don't-
things like even if you're not touching children, what if you get into things like pornography and stuff like that? Like, what if
Pornography.
what if you're sharing pictures? What if like stuff like that?
Yeah,
I
well, that's
know-
against the law. It's against the law.
exactly.
Then. So then, like, I
But it's
would
no
say, like
contact.
that. It is child molestation by proxy, right?
It is, yes, but
Yes, so I would
I'm
say that's
saying that if we
illegal, and we're
I'm
against
just
it.
saying, if we normalize it, it becomes complicated, and things like
I
this.
think
There are two
I
different
don't
words
think-
to use here too. One's pederast and one's pedophilia. Pedophilia is just being attracted. Pederast is engaging in the sexual activity with a child.
Mm-hmm.
So pederast is essentially what everyone's against. Pedophilia is the thing that's being discussed.
Yeah, and so what I'm saying is that if you have like a tendency in you can't control, forcing you to lie about it isn't helping anybody.
Of course, if you're trying to like seek therapy and stuff like that, you know.
Yeah,
it's
but
totally
like
normal.
you shouldn't be proud
You
of it,
shouldn't,
but there's
like-
nothing wrong with being honest about it.
But I don't think that you should like put pride into it and like
I
try
agree.
to I
agree,
do like
but
pedophile parades. Like we don't
look,
need
I
that.
agree with you. I agree with you. And this is not, I'm not trying to draw an equivalence between the things. I want to say that first. But I would say, in a similar sense, but not nearly the same, that there's no reason to put pride into your sexual orientation, but we have gay parades.
I don't feel that you
I
should
was
put
like,
pride into your
wait.
sexual orientation either, even like, but I think
Yeah,
there
so I
should
think
be a
it's-
certain amount of pride when it comes to being in like LGBT stuff because I
Why?
think there just needs to be because like there's still places
No,
in
but
the world
it's
where
not,
you're not
yeah, of
allowed to be
course.
gay.
Look,
I'm
I understand.
confused.
It's there's a difference though between saying being gay is completely acceptable and saying be proud to be gay. What's to be proud of? It's something you can't control.
You
It's
have to
not
be
marriage.
proud of it because there's certain
No.
stuff
wait,
that
hold
you
on.
go through as a gay person.
Isn't that
Yeah,
like
but pride is not the word.
Actually, no. Like
If you
people are
but
proud.
if you're just so most people when they're gay, you know, I don't want to like generalize
about
it because
confident?
everybody has different situations, right? That they go through. There's
Hold on,
different,
can I
you
ask
know,
what the
if you
topic
live
is
in
real quick?
different areas, there's normally a different like social kind of feeling around being gay.
Hold on.
But if you like difference between like living in California and living in like
No,
Utah,
look, I understand.
you know,
You're talking about activism. I'm saying
Wait,
the
hold on.
activism does not have to focus on pride.
Wait, what's the topic?
I think
Achilles, you
that-
need to stop cutting in, man.
No, I need to know the topic.
The topic is about pedophilia and whether or not people who are pedophiles but don't commit acts are bad people and whether or not they should be proud. And we said that the people who don't commit pedophilic acts but have urges
I was
are
gonna
doing
type
a
it, but you're
moral
right.
good and that they can't control it, but that there's nothing to be proud of. And then I
No.
said that, well, in a similar sense, there's no reason to be proud of your sexuality, but people are.
Wait, I don't know if that was her exact argument.
Her argument, I think, was that she didn't want to normalize pedophilia.
Yeah, but it is like part of the like norm. It's not like part of the average, but it is part of the population. And lying
hold on,
about it.
I'm gonna
doesn't
argue
help
that most
anybody.
people. I'm gonna argue most people are pedophiles. Like we like. Who
Oh,
doesn't?
I mean, most people are hebephiles.
What's a hebrophile?
Yeah, that's the hebephile is like after puberty, but before the age of consent.
Oh.
Yeah, most people, I think, probably.
Yeah, I think
that.
most men probably fall into that category.
I don't understand really because honestly, like it actually just depends on what you like in the person of the opposite sex. If it's their personality, then you can form like.
No,
you
but we're
can
talking about sexual
Yeah, we're
attraction.
talking about sexual, like visual attraction.
Yeah, so like what you prefer in terms of sexuality.
Like I don't get it. Like then how does somebody form that type of attraction to a person that's not even like their bodies are not even formed?
Not even sexualized.
No,
That's what I'm saying.
That's
It's like
what we're saying.
That's it doesn't make sense. I mean,
it does make sense. It's a disorder.
Well, like isn't it like the disorder?
What
Isn't it like
so what's the okay? Why were you comparing like normal sexuality to?
Dude, I said very clearly that I wasn't making an equivalence. I was saying
Okay,
that
then what's
the reason that I brought up the example is that there's no reason to be proud of pedophilia or having that tendency, and there is a reason to be a bit ashamed of it. But in the same sense, even though there's no reason to be ashamed of homosexuality, there's also no reason to be proud of it. It's not something to be proud of. It's not individual merit. It's not something that like warrants pride.
I think people. I I mean, honestly, like people can be prideful about whatever they want. Honestly,
I don't agree. I think that there is unjustified pride, and then there is justified
Hold on.
pride.
Wait, it's like people like are proud of their nation, even though they're just been born there by rights.
No, but they're proud of it for specific reasons, though. They're like proud of what their nation has accomplished, for instance.
But like, no, some people are
then
like.
couldn't you say the same thing about like being LGBT? You could be proud that you know the society has finally accepted you.
No, I don't really think so.
Well, maybe you could be proud that you fought for your right and you achieved it.
Yes, you could be proud of your bravery, but that's not pride for being gay. That's pride for being courageous.
That.
Well, but you could be proud of your identity. Wait. You can be proud of your identity, right?
No, look, you can be proud if in that case you're proud of being an activist, really.
Well, you can be proud of your identity, right?
Of course you can, but there are certain elements of your identity that do not warrant pride. My skin color does not warrant pride. My sex does not warrant pride. My sexual orientation does not warrant pride.
Well,
I didn't do anything to get them. There is no merit assigned to me for having them.
But you don't do anything in the first place. Everything is determined.
That's not the point. The point is that some things are completely beyond my control, though.
Like everything is completely beyond your control.
No. Some things. No, there's no freedom in my control, but no, like I can pick something off on the table, even though it's not me freely choosing. It's definitely in my control while I'm holding it.
Well, look what you're using. Well, the word control. You want to look up that definition?
Yeah, okay. Having it's like manipulating or having an influence on something. I can almost guarantee you.
I don't want to go back to determinism right now. We do that every day.
Okay, so no, quick. Control, the power to influence or direct people's behavior or the course of events. Are you saying that I don't have the power to influence things?
You don't have agency, correct?
No. I didn't say I had agency. I said the thing that is me, the biological creature, has an influence, even if it's deterministic.
All right, you are a means through which things are acted, right? Yes.
Yes, that's influence. Therefore, control.
I think control is a sketchy term.
No, I just defined you control. The power to influence.
If you're, all right, suppose you're a screwdriver, and I use you to screw in. Wait, hold on. Suppose you're a screwdriver, and I use you to screw into like.
Yes.
Yes, so that you be proud. So you can be proud of being the screwdriver.
No, I'm saying that you have control over the screw if you're the screwdriver. Yes.
Okay. Then you have, but then you can't be proud of.
I think no, but I don't think you're following it where it came from, Pride Man, because there's no reason to draw that conclusion.
Okay, so I do get your definition of control, so that's good, and that makes sense. So I could say you have control.
Yes, and so I'm saying like some things are in your control and some things are outside of your control, and that's distinct from deterministic mechanics, right? Yeah, so I'm saying things like my skin color have nothing to do.
Thank you for listening. Like, share, subscribe, and join us in the Nameless Debates Discord. We hope to see you there.